Hello everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. My name is Blakely. I am a co-creator of PrePro. We're thrilled to have you with us today. Today we are going to review PrePro's core features as well as build a corporate event project together today. Yes, we've been covering some theatrical-based projects recently, but today we're going to focus on a corporate event. We know a lot of you out there have last-minute corporate events. That's part of your work portfolio that you intersperse with other creative projects. And so today we're going to focus on that to see how PrePro can help you quickly ideate concepts for stakeholders with corporations for their corporate industrials. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our corporate project. And you can see here that I have PrePro opened. So if this is your first time joining us, when you download PrePro from the App Store and you open PrePro for the first time, this is the screen that you are going to see. This is the PrePro home screen. And you'll notice I already have projects here on my screen. Yours will be empty, but that's okay. And right here, you'll notice three major icons. Up at the top, we have our universal library. This acts as a repository for all of your assets within PrePro. So if you start a project and you put in some custom assets, they'll always go back into the universal library for you to be able to use as a part of your other projects. So you don't have to re-import them. Once they're in, you can use them amongst your other creative projects. And over here to the right, you will see Project Library. Now, if you have more projects here, you'll notice when I open this that there's several projects in here already, and that lets me select the project I'm interested in. Now, if you have a creative associate that's working on this with you, or maybe they got started on the project with PrePro and they want you to continue where they stopped working, then you will just go ahead and you can choose Import right here, and you can import their PrePro file right into PrePro. And you'll notice New Project down here, and that is what we are going to do together today. So let's go ahead and tap on. You can either use your mouse to click on it, you can use your pencil to tap it, or you can use your good old trusty finger to tap on it. I like using my finger around PrePro. Unless I get to path drawing, then I end up probably using my Apple Pencil, but I find that my fingers, they work best. So I'm going to use a mouse today just so you can see where I am clicking here with my iPad. So we're going to go ahead and tap on New Project. And you can see here in New Project that we have a list of asset categories here at the top. Now, every time you start a project with PrePro, you're going to notice that these individual asset types are here at the top for you. And this will be where you're going to input any piece of custom media, custom model for your venue. Maybe you have a custom scenic element that's being built by your creative team. You can put those in here. So for instance, if I had a custom scenic element, I would click on Assets here. And then you see PrePro gives me the option to import from device, which would be my device storage. So that will link you to your Dropbox, your Google Drive, the hard drive on your iPad, or any other cloud service that you might use. Or you can import from the Universal Library. And now the Universal Library, as I said a second ago, is the repository of everything you'd previously put into PrePro. So if you know there's a scenic element that you want to use from another project, you can just go ahead and click on the Universal Library option here, and that will give you options to everything that you've already previously imported that's a scenic asset into PrePro. Likewise, for videos, images, scripts, music, etc., all of those will give you options to get to where you need to go, whether that's your camera roll, your device storage, or the cloud. You can see up here by default that PrePro has titled this project Untitled 12, but we don't want that. So we'll just go ahead and tap on that, and that'll give us the option to edit it. If you're not using a keyboard and mouse with your iPad, it'll probably just pop up the entire keyboard on your screen like usual. Let's just call this Corp Event for today. And there we go. And we're going to click Create Performance. Now, every file within this project folder, we call them performance files. So if you're working, in this case, on a corporate event, you might have more than one day to this corporate industrial. So you might want to have different performance files for each act that's performing in your industrial. Perhaps you have a different setup each day depending on the keynote speaker or what's happening in that particular ballroom or area that this event is happening. And if you're working on more like a theatrical piece or an opera or something like that, you might want to think of these performance files as individual scenes or individual musical numbers. And so that's how you would break them down within this overall corp event project. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use all preset built-in venues and assets today. That way you can see everything that we have built into PrePro for you to get started right away. You can always obviously put in a custom venue if you're working at a certain theater or a certain ballroom and you know the specs for that specific ballroom. You can put those in and scale them. But today we're going to work with just things that are already built into PrePro so that you can get started as quickly as possible with developing your concepts. So we're going to go ahead and click Create Performance. And you'll see here when I click Create Performance, it's going to give me a list of venues to choose from. We have a variety of different sized venues here built into PrePro for you. And today we're going to focus here just on our blank stage, just a simple blank stage. So we're going to go ahead and tap on that or click on it. And you'll see it gives me a preview. The preview with this will just be a blank stage. And we're going to click Select. Or tap on Select, and now it's going to ask me to name this. So I'm just going to call this Corp Event 1 and click OK. And you'll see here PrePro is going to go ahead and load that venue for us. And if this is your first time using PrePro, you'll see right now we've got this awesome stage or venue here in front of us, that blank stage. And we've got a play bar down here at the bottom, and we've got our palette over here to the left. Now, if this is your first time using PrePro, I want to point out the most important button here. Down at the very bottom, this is our Help and Settings button right here. And if you press and hold on this button, you'll notice that we have descriptions of every single icon type, so that if you're ever confused about where to find something or what button is which, just press and hold here on this button at the bottom, our Settings and Help button, and it will give you every option available to you. You can even see we have supported file types down in the lower right in case you need to see if your file types are supported or not. You may need to convert those before you bring them into PrePro, or you can ask a fellow creative associate when they export them from whatever program they're using, just to ensure that the format is the compatible format. Also, if this is your first time using PrePro, we're going to be using quite a few performers and elements, and the free version allows you 2 performers and 2 built-in assets, but we're going to surpass that today. So you're going to want to start your 14-day free trial today as well, and you can find that by just tapping, not tapping and holding, just a single tap like you usually would here on this Settings Help button. And you'll notice it gives you a variety of options to tap on, but we're going to focus on the in-app purchase store here, so we're going to go ahead and tap on that. And then you'll see right now you can give a 14-day free trial here for PrePro 3D. We've got a launch sale happening. So go ahead and when you tap on purchase, it's going to ask you for your iCloud information. You want to go ahead and give it all of that information, and it will unlock the app for you for 14 days. And we're sure after 14 days you're going to love it, and you will want to keep it. We think it's a great value, and it far surpasses the amount you're going to have to spend on studios. You will see the benefit from being able to use PrePro wherever you're at instead of having to rent costly studio space all the time. So once you've gone ahead and activated that free trial, you're going to click back here. And you'll see right now that this initial screen here in our Playspace of PrePro gives us the top-down 2D view. So PrePro has a 2D view and a 3D view built in. It's super, super awesome, the 3D view, which we'll get to in a second. But all of your work within PrePro is always going to be done on this 2D screen. So you can see here that I can tap and hold with my finger to move this around. If this is your first time joining us here, we always have a single tap or single click to activate items or press and to move things around. We have a double tap, which is going to bring up more options for certain items, which you will see shortly. And then press and hold activates recording mode to begin recording traffic patterns for your performers and assets. You'll see that shortly as well. But right now in this 2D view, you can either press and hold and move that stage around, and you can pinch to zoom in and out like you're used to using whatever fingers your heart desires. Now you'll notice down here we have this little 0 with a line. So we have a number line built into PrePro. And if you're doing a theatrical project, a dance project, opera, something like that, a lot of those companies and performances will use a number line at the front of the stage to maintain accurate spacing for the artists on the stage. And we're not going to focus on that today, but we will go into this venue tools icon right here. So you'll see venue tools right there. To up from my settings and help. And this is going to be where we're going to change anything about our venue, including the number line. So you can see here there's a ton of options for this particular number line, but today we're not going to use that, so we're just going to go ahead and turn it off. And if you want to swap your venue, let's say you have a second ballroom or something like that, something's changed and you have a new model, we can swap out the venue. So if you change venues at the last minute, you can still keep all the work you've done and simply swap out the venue in its place. Now you may want to use the number line for this particular corporate event. If so, you're going to leave it turned on. You can choose between white or black. I'll just leave it white for right now. And when you tap adjust number line, you'll see that it becomes teal. And that allows me to move this around wherever I want to place it. And we'll just leave it here. That looks center-ish. And we'll tap the stage to deactivate it. I'll come back into my venue tools. You can adjust the opacity of this line and also where it says enter number. So you're going to enter the farthest number for your number line. So let's say your particular venue goes out to 25 and you want to use that for your particular spacing there. You're just going to come down to this window here and type 25. And once you've done that, you'll see PrePro automatically creates this number line all the way to 25. It does even numbers only, so you'll see we've got a half segment here. So maybe I'll just make that 26 just to make this visual a little clearer. There we go. And now you can see the work is done automatically for you, just like that. Don't have to worry about dragging, don't have to worry about creating each individual tick mark along the number line. PrePro does it all for you, just like that. But we're not going to use that for today, so I'm going to go ahead and go back here and toggle it off and focus back on our stage. So like I said before in PrePro, we've got a ton of built-in assets for you to start throwing into your stage to get started as quickly as possible. So we're just going to go back down here. Obviously, you can see we try to use the same iconography throughout the app. So you'll notice this little chair icon from our previous project folder, the assets icon. But just in case, let's go and press and hold. And you'll see right there, 4 from the top is the assets library. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll notice when we do that there is a spot here for imported assets. Now we have no custom assets in this particular project currently, but that is where those custom assets will be. And then you'll notice we've got all these preset assets built in. And as I scroll this, you'll be able to see that we have a lot of different assets built in for you to get started quickly. So today, we're going to create a corporate event, and we're going to use these awesome banquet tables right here. So we're going to go ahead and get started by just tap and hold and drag. Tap and hold and drag. And I'm just going to drag a few of these in here. How many do we want to do today? Let's do 6. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Great. And I'll tap on the stage to close that out. Now you'll see I've got 6 tables here. And every time I tap to select one, I can move it, and I can tap it again to unselect it, or tap the stage to unselect. Now that's very important because we've got a cool feature in PrePro called multi-select that allows me to select a group of performers or assets at the exact same time. And you'll see why that comes in handy later. So just for example, I'm going to select all of these, and then you'll notice I can move them as a group. And then I can tap each individual one to remove it from the group selection, the multi-select, or I can just tap the stage and it will deselect all of them. So I'm going to just move these individually here just to get them set up nice and easy. Just like that. There we go. And I will match these just like this. Not perfect, but we are just trying to get quick ideas out, right? Someone said they need a last-minute plan for what this might look like, so we're just going to try and get this together as quickly as possible so we can get it sent off to our fellow creative team members or directors, other stakeholders that are involved in decision-making processes, just to get an idea out there for them. These things tend to move very quickly, and so that's the benefit of PrePro, is you can get a good basic idea out there that lets other departments see what you're thinking, what you're planning to do. Great. And now we're going to build a small stage. We're going to build a small stage. We're going to come up here to our ProCube asset. Now, we covered this in a previous live stream, but the ProCube asset built into PrePro is incredible. It is, I'll drag it in here. It is, as you can see, just a cube. It's a simple cube, but what's amazing about this cube is you can turn it into any shape of cube, rectangle that you want, any height, any size. You can apply images to all the sides. You can apply colors to that. So if you have only 2D renderings from a particular designer, you can put those on the surfaces of the cube to make it appear like that particular scenic element. Or if you have an image that you want to use as a backdrop or something just to give further visual fidelity to your rendering, you can do that as well. It's a really, really awesome asset that we've created for you to sort of mock up anything that you want to create. So today we're just going to create a simple stage here for this particular project. So you'll notice when I tap it, it highlights teal. That means I've selected it so that I can move it around. And I can tap it again or tap the stage to deselect it. Now, I said earlier we use, single tap, single click to select and deselect things like we're used to, but we also have double tap to access more options. And you'll find a lot of performers and assets, they have the extra options available to you. So when I double tap this ProCube here, you'll notice a variety of icons will pop up. You'll notice the delete icon here with the trash can. We have a rotation button. We can scale this cube automatically by making it taller or making it wider. So you'll see here if I do this, I can change the dimensions, and you'll notice the scale of this pops up in the right-hand corner over there. And you can't see it currently, but if I raise and lower this slider, that I'm making the height of this cube different. So I'm going to make this way taller than it needs to be for right now. So I left it at 7.5 feet. And the z-axis is what raises and lowers the entire asset or performer off the ground. So if you have a performer that needs to fly in or raise up from beneath the stage or things like that, you're going to use that z-axis to create that floating effect. So if you're creating a backdrop and you want to fly a backdrop in or something like that, you would raise the z-axis of that and it would fly into the air. And then you would be able to record it lowering down to the deck of your stage. But right now, we're going to focus on this top middle icon. This is the ProCube properties icon. So we're going to tap on that to select it. And when you do, you're going to see this really detailed menu here of how to alter your ProCube and customize it in a way that suits you. So you can see over here we have options to alter the size of the ProCube, and this can be any sort of measurement that you would like. So it's already at 7.5 feet tall, which we know is too tall. But let's go ahead, and I know that I want this to be about 10 feet wide. And if you want to express like a half-foot measurement or something like that, you would enter it as 10.5. So it would be 10 feet 6 inches. But we're working with decimals, so if you wanted it to be 10.5 feet, you would do 10.5, things like that. And the depth, I think I want the depth to be 30 feet. Let's see. I'm going to click OK. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe I want it to be a little bit wider this way. So I'm going to double tap it again. And let's go with 15 feet. I think that looks, yes, perfect. That looks great. Now I'm going to go back into these ProCube properties here by double tapping on that ProCube, right? You'll see here, I'll back out of this menu, that I can double tap on these assets, and there's less options because they're not as customizable as a ProCube, but you'll still see that we have the z-axis available to us. I can scale the width and depth, not the height there, and I can rotate these tables as well as delete them. So I'm going to tap the stage there to deselect it, but we're going to focus right here on our ProCube stage because we want to change the color. So we're going to go back into our ProCube properties. And I'm just going to rename this really quickly. Let's call this event stage. That's good. And we want to alter the color. So you'll see here, I just tap on color, and I have my color selector here. Now you can choose any color in the spectrum with PrePro. So let's go with a blue color. And I'm going to just tap and drag around here to select what color I'm interested in. I don't know, let's do something slightly darker. Yeah, like a navy? I don't know, let's see what that looks like. So once I've selected the color, I'll tap outside of it there, and I'll click the check mark, and once we do that, we should see that our stage is the color we have selected. There you go, as easy as that. Now if I go back into those properties, you'll see the texture option here. You're going to click that if you have a particular texture or photo image that you want to apply to all the surfaces of your ProCube. You can do that as well. If you have custom trim around the edge or something that you want to add, you can do that. Or if you want to do individual sides and customize those, you'll just click Custom Sides. And you can select each surface of the cube and alter the color and texture individually. And you'll see here when you click and drag that you'll be able to confirm that you've selected the right options for your stages, for your ProCube, excuse me, as you do it so that you know you're altering the correct side of the cube. But we're just going to go with this blue color on all of the sides for right now. And there it is. So we're looking at this in a 2D view currently, but let's see what it looks like in 3D. So if you remember here, press and hold on this button so we can find our 3D view, which you'll get used to. It also should be fairly obvious. We have a cube that says 3D here in the palette on the left-hand side. And you'll remember that we made our stage 7.5 feet tall. So when I click this 3D button, this stage is going to look very tall, but it'll be fun to see it in 3D. So when we tap it, there you go. You can see here that we are now looking at our model in 3D, and we have a split view here. And you'll see this line across the center of the screen. And if you just press and hold on this line and move your finger around, you'll see we can adjust the views that we are working with. So you can sort of customize the view of those two screens to however suits your workflow. I like to do 2/3 2D and the top third in 3D, since remember 2D is where you're going to be working with PrePro. The 3D view is merely view only, so you won't be able to move things around in the 3D view. It's there merely to show you the rendering in 3D. But I'm going to go ahead and just bring this back down so you can see here. I'm going to zoom in. So with the 3D view, it's the same as we're all used to. Pinch to zoom here on this 3D view. To get closer, you're going to use your single finger to slowly press and swipe across the screen, and that's going to orbit you around your model. And if you use two fingers together at the same time and move them back and forth, that's going to track your camera back and forth along the same plane. So if you're a video game person, this is, we'd call this strafing, or tracking, things like that. Or if the camera is on a dolly, it gives you that same view where you're moving horizontally and vertically along the same plane. So you can see here, though, we've got these awesome banquet tables already set up. You can see the fidelity of the models is really nice. And we've got our stage that's over here, and it is definitely too tall. So we're going to go ahead and adjust that. So I'm just going to raise that there. And I'm going to double tap here to get more options on my stage. And I'm going to use the scaling button right here. But you can certainly go to the ProCube properties menu and type in a specific height, but we'll just eyeball it also so that you can see in real time that PrePro automatically adjusts everything in 3D as well. You're working in the same environment with two individual cameras happening to give you different perspectives. So you'll see as I scale this down, you'll notice that the cube up top there in my 3D view is also changing in height in real time. So you're getting instant feedback from your ideas. So let's go with about 3.5 feet. That looks good to me for now. And that will be our stage. I feel like this stage is missing something. Let's add, I don't know, let's say this is a big banquet dinner for some fancy people. So we'll go back in here to our preset assets and let's grab, I don't know, let's grab this banquet table here. Remember, we're just going to tap and hold and drag, and I'm going to put this right here on top of my stage. And you'll see that it is right there on top of my model. Just like that, on top of the ProCube, but it's facing the wrong way. So this is where rotation comes in handy. We're going to double tap on our table, and we are going to start to rotate just like that. I'm just going to press on the rotate icon, and I can rotate it to my heart's content. You can see in the 3D view there that it's doing what I need it to do, and that looks good for me. And I'll just tap the stage, or I can tap the table again. We'll move this a little closer. I could have used a bigger table, but very special select guests here at this event. So there you have it. Quick setup here for ideating a corporate event. But we're missing people. That's right. We've got some performers that we're going to hire for this particular event to add a little bit of flavor and entertainment to the dinner and keynote address. We know how, well, exciting PowerPoint presentations can be over the course of a long corporate event day. So we've hired some performers to lighten the mood and give some entertainment. So we're going to add some performers to this project right now. And you guessed it, this icon right here on the left-hand side looks like a person. Maybe they're striking a pose. That is our performer library. So we're going to go ahead and tap on that. And you'll see it's blank currently because we have no performers in our particular project here. And we've made it super easy to get performers into pre-pro. When I tap this plus button, you'll see it instantly makes a performer, just like that. So I'm going to make, I think, 6 performers today. So if I keep tapping this plus button, pre-pro will continue to make performers, just like that. So if you know you have a certain number of performers, you can just continue to tap on it, and pre-pro will automatically just bang, 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 create them, just like that. You'll notice here that it shows our performers icon. On the left-hand side is the ability to turn those performers on and off. Maybe you only want to focus on certain performers once they're in the Playspace. You can turn those performers on and off. And you can also delete them, as well as if you're working with an x-axis number line, you'll see the performer's position on that number line here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and drag these performers into the Playspace, and you'll see as I do that into the 2D view that they're automatically popping up here in our 3D view instantly. So you can see how quickly you can get started with this. And I'll just zoom in here a little more so you can see our friends that we've just added. There we go. And when I've done this, we can also double tap. Remember, double tap gives us extra options, so we can double tap here in the library, or we can double tap on these particular performers. So let's say I want this performer to be red. I can double tap on them. I can adjust the z-axis. So if I want the performer to float in the air or sink into the ground, I can adjust the z-axis. I can rotate this performer, which I will shortly. And I can go to the performer profile. And when I tap on that, you'll see it gives me all of these options to customize my performer. So you'll notice we give them an average of 5.5 feet tall, but you can certainly make them taller if you know you have a height difference between your performers that matters visually for sightlines. You can go ahead and adjust that there. You can adjust the initials that are in the icon of the performer itself. You can also name them. You can adjust the icon type, so you'll notice by default that we have the solid color icon selected, but you can certainly select just the outlined color, or you can select this image icon, which allows you to put in a face maybe, or a custom image of that performer into the icon, the head of the icon. But we're going to go ahead and leave these all solid for today. But I will show you here the same color selector you're used to. And when I select a particular color, let's go with some type of orange here. We're close to Halloween. We'll select orange. So once I select this orange, you'll notice we have the color code here. You can save that for later if you want. Or you can tap this plus down here, and it will save it as a custom color. So when you come back to customize the color of other performers, you'll have that exact color waiting for you to tap on. So you won't have to continue to find it or type in the color code. Super, super easy. And there you go, just like that. You'll notice when I tap back that our performer is now the orange color that I selected. Pretty awesome. You'll see here in the side that we also have a place to write notes. And in this case, this performer, when I tap on it, I want to remember that my orange performer is a great dancer. So I can go ahead and type in here. This is a singing group, but I have to remember that this person is the best dancer in the group. So I'm going to say great dancer. And there it is. I have a note just to remind me about this performer for later. I'm going to go ahead and tap out for now because we are going to start to animate our performers. But first, I want to get them all correctly oriented. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap, and I'm going to just rotate them so that they face the correct direction. Just like that. Super quickly. You see how easy this is to get everyone. Remember, we just double tap and then press and hold there. Press and drag to rotate. You want to be careful when you start to rotate them. You can always correct that rotation later, but if you press and hold and you don't move your finger, it's going to enter recording mode. When you press and hold for a second and you don't move, you'll notice in a second that the recording light activates, and that means you've entered recording mode. Not a big deal. You can always tap on the stage to exit that mode. But if you start to see the red recording light blink here in a second, I'll show you that you've waited too long. So in the event, when I go to rotate someone, I always just press and move really quick. That way I know it won't activate recording mode, and then I can just keep my finger down and rotate them until I get them oriented in the direction that I want them to be. And then I'll tap outside of it. And I think I want all of these people to enter in a line, so I'm just going to get them lined up here. And you can see what's really awesome about this as I select these performers, that I'm getting instant feedback in my 3D view here up top. So as you're moving people, even if you're not using animation and you just need to build a static image of what something might look like for a sightline, instantly you're getting this feedback so that you can see particular sightlines. You can move yourself around the venue to determine whether or not this formation will work for you or not before you get into a studio, before you get to the venue and you have crew who's already on the clock, you have performers and other building staff on the clock. It allows you to eliminate as much potential errors as possible before you are spending money with a lot of expensive creative team and fellow staff on the clock at your venue. So it's super, super useful. So I'm going to go ahead and use more of this view here. I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to zoom out here as well a little bit. Since I think what I want to do, I'm going to use multi-select here, right? We're going to use this multi-select option. I'm going to start back here. I'm going to select all of our performers in this line, just like that. I'm going to move them back here as a group, and I will tap the stage to deselect them. If you tap outside of the stage, it won't deselect them. You need to tap the actual stage itself or tap each individual performer to deselect them. But I find just tapping my stage is the best. So now what I want to do is I'm going to record them. I think what I want to do is I want to have them all process down the center together in a line. So with multi-select, not only can you select things and move them around together, but you can also record them in a multi-select, which is so useful, because if you have a group of people you're trying to move at the same time in a particular formation, you only have to draw one line and it will apply it to all of those performers. So in this case, they are in a line, but let's say you're doing a theatrical project or something and you need a clump of people to move together in a specific formation. Once you get them placed in that formation, you can select all of them and move them together, and instantly you're saving yourself the time from individually having to move those people. You're just moving them all as a single unit with one easy line. It's so helpful when you're dealing with larger groups of people to be able to move them all together at the same line with one recording. So we're going to do a bit of that right now. I'm going to select all of these performers. And once I have selected them, I'm going to tap and hold on any of the performers. I'm going to use the person at the front of the line for this example. Press and hold. And you'll notice once I've done that and I lift my finger, that our P icon here at the top begins to blink like a recording light. See what we did there? This means we are in recording mode, and that means the next move I make with the performers in this 2D view, it's going to begin recording path data for those particular performers. So what I'll do is I'm going to use my Apple Pencil now to do this. So I'm going to tap my first performer, and as I start to draw, you'll see that I'm drawing 6 lines at the same time. There we go. So I got them to about center there, and I just lift, and when you lift your finger or you lift your pencil, it instantly stops recording. Just like that. It's super, super easy, and it's waiting for you to then select, long hold, and enter recording mode and record where you want to go after that. So now, once you've done that, you're going to ask, okay, well, how do I go and adjust this particular path? So that was a 13-second recording. So you'll see I'm going to go ahead and rewind them. And just like that, you can see them rewind. And I'll play it. And just like that, I can move while the animation is happening. I can adjust my sightline. And just like that, we have an animated 3D rendering in a matter of seconds. So here at the play bar, you're going to notice we've got undo, redo, rewind, play, and I'll press and hold on my help button. And you'll notice on the left there at the play bar at the bottom is the timeline button. So the timeline, when I open it, you'll see it looks similar to programs you're used to, like iMovie, GarageBand, any other video editing application or audio editing application that you're used to, where we have all of our performers listed. You can raise and lower this by tapping on this bar here and dragging it if you want more or less of this view, just like that. And you'll see the path that we recorded here is 13 seconds, and it recorded these path nodes for all of these performers. Now, if I wanted to adjust this, I can select the path, and I can drag the ends to make the path take longer in travel by dragging it, obviously, longer, or I can make them travel the line I drew faster by making the node shorter. You can also move the entire node by just tapping in the center and dragging it, and it will move the entire node along the timeline. So if you want to change the timing completely of when they start to move, you can move the whole node as well. If I double tap the center, remember double tap more options, I can name this path. So you can start to create a visual reference within these path nodes. Let's say this is the group traveling down. I can, for this node just to show you, I'll just call it travel in line, and I'll click this plus button, and now it's called travel in line. So I have a visual representation there as well if I want to find a certain spot within this particular performance. Now I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to go ahead and close my timeline for right now, and you'll see when I select a particular node that it also, I'm going to close out of the 3D view here. You'll see that it shows me the path that I drew. So if you want to see a particular path of a performer that you drew, you can just highlight that node and it'll show you the start and end point, which is pretty cool. Great. Bring that down here. We're going to go ahead and work in this 2D view for right now. And we'll come back to 3D in a second, but we're going to need this 2D view right now. So now I'm going to have these performers spread out in between these tables here. So I'm going to do some individual recordings for these performers. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to start with my orange performer here. I'm going to select them and then I'm going to long press and release, and you'll see we're in recording mode now. And we're going to draw this performer over to this area here of this table. So we're going to draw, and you'll see as I do this, that it creates a path node at the bottom is actively recording, and release. And you can see automatically it made a new path node down here. And I can just tap back here at the top of the timeline to bring the playhead back to this particular spot so that now I can record the next performer. Now, if I had audio that I was using, I would want to come up to my media folder here at the top, and I could open my audio, import some audio that I was using, and I would drag and drop it into this song name area down here. It says song name. Just drag the file, drop it, and the song would be here as well. So every time I recorded, the music would be playing back every time I recorded a path to ensure complete accuracy for the things that I was recording. But we're not using music today. But just so you know that that's where you would find your audio, your images, and videos if you wanted to apply those to your performers. Also, you'll see that this palette here on the left-hand side can sometimes get in our way. And you'll notice this Pre-Pro P icon is always here at the top, and its job is to just close and open the palette for you. So it's always there, it never goes away. So in this instance, I know I have what I need in this particular performance already in the Playspace, so I don't really need the toolbar currently. It's just kind of getting in the way. So I can go ahead and just tap that and close it. So now I have all of this other visual space that's more important for me accessible. So now I'm going to record the next performer. I've moved them, so I'm going to highlight them and enter recording mode, and I'm going to go ahead, and as I start to record, you'll notice that my previously recorded performer plays back. There we go, just like that. And now I've recorded 2 people. And if you had music, the music would play back as well. So every time you're building a more and more detailed picture of what's being created. And there's no guesswork really, because you're seeing everything you've previously recorded as well as your music track playing back in real time together. We call this PerfectPath because it allows you to create perfect paths due to the fact that you're getting to see your previously recorded stuff play back in real time, which is really awesome every time you're going and adding more and more visual layers to your performance. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to get the rest of these performers recorded. Great, I did that one. We'll go ahead and we'll jump back. I'll do my next performer. There, we're in recording mode. Remember, press and hold for a second or so and release, and then you'll see that our P icon here is always there, and it's in recording mode. And the next move I make with this selected performer is going to begin to record. All of my other performers are moving, so I can make sure I've timed it well. Great. And we'll tap down here at the bottom. We'll tap. You can also click and drag this back, but tapping's easier, so I just tap and it jumps back. And we'll do our next performer. You'll notice also when I highlight a performer, I select them, that it jumps automatically in my timeline and highlights them over here. So you don't ever have to worry about trying to scroll through your timeline. Anytime you select something, it automatically brings that person into view for you to focus on one less thing. We'll enter recording mode now. Remember, just press and hold and release. And we will record our next path. So this guy is going to go back here. Going to backtrack on themselves. Perfect. And we'll jump back. And we'll do our last performer here. And the recording light's activated, and we're going to backtrack this person on themselves as well. I mean, how cool is that everything moves on its own? It's going. I mean, it doesn't get much easier than that, right? So now, instantly, I've created 22 seconds of content. You can imagine if we weren't moving slowly together today that I would have accomplished this in 10 minutes, tops. Instantly, 10 minutes, you've got a quick idea out there. Is it exact? No, but sometimes you won't see what it is exactly until the day of. You just need to start to get ideas out there, get feedback across the room from people, and we've done this in a matter of minutes, literally minutes. So I'm going to go back here to the very beginning. Just tap back there. And you'll see all of my performers have restored to their starting positions there. And I'm going to go ahead and close the timeline. Let's watch this once in our 2D only view. Great. And I'll press play. And I can zoom in and out and move around as this is playing. But you can see how helpful this is, even from a top-down perspective, of seeing all of the performers moving, what the spacing's going to look like in reference to the other things that are present in our Playspace. So that was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and just rewind that. And you'll see they all rewind very quickly back to their home positions from what we've recorded. It's pretty awesome. And we're going to go ahead and open our palette again by clicking on the Pre-Pro P. It'll open up our palette here on the left-hand side. We're going to tap this 3D button. It's going to give us this split view again. And this looks like an interesting... Actually, you know what? Let's give ourselves from the perspective of the table. How about... So how's that? Maybe we'll come up a little higher. We'll zoom out there. There you go. That looks interesting there. We'll do that, and we'll watch it again. And you can see in real time, I can adjust these views while it's playing. I can move around if I don't want to see that particular angle, all while it's playing in this split view. I can even adjust the camera views screens while it's playing, so I can, give myself a bigger 3D, smaller 2D view, or vice versa. I'm going to go ahead and rewind this again, just so we can see that there in real time how it does that. You can also just open the timeline and jump back the way I've done it before, just tapping there at the top of the timeline, and the playhead will jump back, but it's kind of fun to watch it play in reverse, I think. So we do have a double tap option in our Pre-Pro palette here on the left-hand side, and that is for the 3D button. So our default view with a single press is always this 2D view. If you tap it once, it gives you the split screen view, but if you double tap the 3D view, it gives us a full screen 3D view. If I tap it again, it just restores the 2D view, and I can go back and forth between those views. But before we depart today, let's watch this together in a full 3D view. I'm going to close this out here. Press that P to close the palette out, and we will watch it here in 3D. And just like that, I mean, does it get any better? In a matter of minutes, we have a fully animated 3D rendering of what it is we're looking to do with this. Now that we've created this, I need to get this off to a fellow stakeholder so they can start to work. So here we have our download options or export options here, the little video with the arrow. So when we tap that, you're going to see the export options screen pop up. And this allows me to either export this entire project, not for this particular performance, but every performance within that project folder. And I can send this pre-pro file to a fellow user who has pre-pro, and they can import it and then begin to view, look at it in 3D, 2D, manipulate timing and work on it that way. Or if you have a stakeholder who hasn't subscribed to pre-pro yet, and they should, and they will after seeing this, I'm sure, you can export a video. Pre-Pro will render a video for you, an easy, simple video file, and you can choose between 2D, 3D, or 2D, 3D. And these images reflect wherever that camera is placed in the Playspace. So for 3D, I want this view to be more like this, I think. That looks about right. So now when I go back to export it, you'll notice that the 3D camera view has changed. I'll add a title to that video. And then when I export it, it's going to ask me where I want to export it. And then it's going to need to play through the performance while it exports. So if you have a 5-minute performance file, then it's going to take 5 minutes to render it and export it. But then you will have a perfect video available to send to someone from this exact 3D view in the camera. Now, your stakeholders won't be able to edit it or move around the view in 3D since it's a fixed video from the perspective of the camera where you placed it. But if they want to be able to move things around or whatever, then they should subscribe to PrePro. And then you would just simply export the project file to them so that they can then start to move around in the Playspace while it's playing back. But if they don't have it, you need to get it out quickly, you can render any of these views to send to them just to get a quick video out as well. That brings us to the end of our session today. We hope you had a blast. Again, we do these live streams on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. If you want to check us out on social media, we're on Instagram at PreProApp. You can also check out our website with tons more content and information about the app, about our team at PrePro. The web address is pre-pro.io. Again, I'm Blakely, a co-creator. Next week, it'll either be me or a fellow co-creator, Parker, to lead you through our next example. But we hope you had a blast today, and we will see you again next time. Take care.